Welcome to Veronica Live, and we are here. We love having candidates, and we have a new candidate that's running to be a Bay County Commissioner in District 1, and his name is Ron Keel, and it's the first time you've been on Veronica Live. Welcome to Veronica Live, Ron.
Hey, thanks, Veronica. Thanks for having me.
Tell us what your background is and how long you've lived here in Bay County.
So background, I grew up here. My parents moved here when I was 3 from Jackson County.
Okay.
My parents moved here. They wanted to be close to the beach. There's better opportunity than in Marianna, Florida. So I grew up here. I went to Lucille Moore Elementary over in San Andrews. I ended up going to Panama City Christian all the way up until pretty much high school. Ended up going to Bay, and I went to Arnold, and I ended up finishing up through a homeschool program through Covenant Christian Academy. Then after that, I went to go work for my dad's company, which was mold remediation and structural drying. And then I pursued a career in sales. I did that for about 5 years, and then I left. I joined the military, wanted to do something greater than myself. And while I was gone, I ended up making a connection with my high school sweetheart. We got married, had a beautiful daughter, moved back home, had a beautiful son. And at the moment now, I'm a defense contractor out at NSWCPCD. And I've decided that I wanted to make the community great again.
Yeah, well, and I see from your bio that you were in the Army as an infantryman in the 101st Airborne. So that's pretty important. And what did you do in the Army?
Yeah, so infantry, started out as a gunner's assistant, went to an N2 gunner, and then I ended my career in HHC Recon out of the 126 Infantry, and then that's pretty much it. But there's a lot of ins and outs of what I did in the military. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly, because there's a lot of jobs. So.
Right. No, that's the military, living all over the world, and you decided to come back here. And then now you're running for office, and we've got an incumbent in there. And why should we choose? Why do you want to run for this office? I'll start there.
Well, so I think the question that I've been trying to get more people to look at is leadership as a whole. Being in the military, you learn a lot about good leadership. You learn a lot about bad leadership. And if you look at the 3 basic principles of leadership, you would see that there needs to be purpose, direction, and motivation. And, if you look at the choices that are being made at the county level, it doesn't seem like the 3 of those line up. And so when you see something like that, and you have the ability, you have the responsibility to do that. And so I believe that I bring that, the leadership role, I believe that I'm bringing a little bit more to the table than my other the other 2 candidates. So I believe that the current incumbent has been negligent with the taxpayers' dollars. I don't believe that they've been allocated right. You can look into the FEMA money. You can look into the budget. You can look into our debt. It's pretty obvious when you start talking about $300 million, and you look around and you go, "Where's my tax? Where's my money going?" You still have issues with the roads. Blaming it on, infrastructure damage from Hurricane Michael. That was 5 years ago. That was a great excuse back then.
No, it's so frustrating.
So you can't keep blaming something that happened 5 years ago, and then it even gets worse when you start to talk about property taxes going up, the millage rate going up by 1 point. Property taxes went up by 25%. And I just got done talking to a gentleman this afternoon that, owns multiple properties here. And he's like, dude, like, the property taxes are going to break me alone. So, what do you do about it? Well, we lower them. And, fiscal responsibility starts with, in the same year that you raise people's taxes, the salary of our county commissioners went up. So it went from $72,000 a year to $78,000 a year. So me as a taxpayer should pay more. You as the county commissioner should get paid more. And then you blame it on inflation. Well, you're the direct problem with inflation. You just proved it. And when you start looking at in between 2019 and 2023, you go from somewhere around about 168,000 citizens to 190,000 citizens to 2023. That's based on the Census Bureau. And then that means more people came here and they bought homes. Now, property values are already high, which means the county is already getting more money. So when you raise taxes, we found this out through the Trump administration that, when you raise taxes like that, you're not putting more money into the government. You're actually going to get less money because people aren't going to buy anymore. So, with property taxes going down, you'll see more of an increase of buying, especially with, Daniel just talked about it the other day on your show when he talked about interest rates. You have interest rates that are that high, property values are high, and then we have the highest influx of citizens that we've ever seen in this county, and you're going to raise taxes. And improper thing for the county to do is to blame it on anything like the beach CRA. You can't blame it on tax-free days and that initiative put on by Ron DeSantis and McGovern. You can't put it on that. It literally comes down to you think you can tax the people to get out of debt, and that is the last thing that you should ever do, in my opinion.
Very well, so. Right now, for sure, no.
So Ron, what do you think about long-range budget planning, which the county really doesn't do? Years ago they used to have a program called the Bay County Citizens Academy, which I went to, and they kind of delved into all the operations of each of the county's departments. And one of the things that really surprised me was, particularly, on when talking to the budget, the person in charge of the budget, was that they did not do pro forma budgets based on the property value increases from a forward-looking standpoint. So, the fact that property values have gone up dramatically in Bay County over the last 4 or 5 years, that the county budget department, even though they get a whole lot more taxes, they don't really plan for that. And then it's kind of like they get this windfall and then they blow it. And, because they spend every dime they get plus more. And rather than looking at a long-term plan for the county, they just seem to get these pop-up things. It's like, hey, let's go spend $10 million here. Let's go spend $50 million there. Let's go spend $100 million there. Yeah. And then next thing you know, the money's all gone that if they had planned correctly over time. So do you think that would be something you would push for?
So first of all, I'll be completely honest with you. I that's something that I would have to look into, and I would need to study up on before I even sounded remotely intelligent on that subject. But what I can tell you is that when you start looking at these, anything in the financial or the budget, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to redirect the question, but I am telling you, I don't know how I feel about that because I don't have enough knowledge on that. But I want to bring up the CRA for example, right? The beach CRA. If you use that as an example, if I with all the doors that I've knocked on, and I try to talk about this, right? We talk about the millage rate. We talk about 2001 when the CRA first came around. I think, and don't quote me on any of this. I mean, I'm going to try to stick to it as best I can. But like 2001, I do believe that the beach, the CRA was supposed to be close to like $112, $113 million, right? And so, and now the beach receives like $170 million, give or take. So, the tax of the CRA has gained over 750% since 2001, 2002. So 89 cents of every dollar, goes back to the CRA. 11 cents goes back to the county. So, and then the beach officials come in 2019 and they want to extend it to 2049, adding more projects to the pot, which is preposterous. But so the county, I think they made the right choice by holding their feet to the fire. But what I wanted to get into is like people don't understand how that CRA works, because in order to explain the CRA, you'd have to explain the TIF, you'd have to explain the tax increment financing, and when the CRA is established originally, you have that base year, and then you have the property tax assessments, and then you have the increase. So any increase in property tax revenue above the base year level or whatever is allocated to the CRA for redevelopment activities or infrastructure or whatever it may be. And then you have the annual variability. And then that's when the amount that's paid to the CRA annually depends on the growth in the property values within the CRA. So the reason why I wanted to explain this is because I've gotten more questions on this than anything, because it's been a big debate for a long time, but citizens don't understand this part of it, right? They hear us talk about it, or they hear the county officials talk about it, but nobody actually explains it. So the best way that I can explain it and give it an example is if you have a base year property tax revenue of like $10 million and it increases to $15 million after the subsequent year, the $5 million increment would be allocated to the CRA. So, but all of that to be said, any of the financials that we deal with, and it doesn't even have to be the beach CRA, it can be, any of these budgets, they are designed to be complex because complexity masks fraud, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is crooked, but I don't think that we have to bring up the past of commissioners that have been caught in bidding and, all of these types of issues. So when you talk to me about financing, I will tell you I'm the worst person to talk to you about it and budgeting. But what I can tell you is I can find that stuff out later. I think what we're dealing with at the county is a lot deeper than finances. I think it really does come down to your principles and your attributes, and right now, these guys that sit at this level and they play with our tax dollars and play with our money, they're not following the people, and they're not listening. That's for sure.
So what else are the voters telling you, Ron?
So I've heard a lot when I've sat on doorstep. There's so much municipality drama going on right now that people, when I go and talk to somebody, when I try to talk to somebody about the county, all they want to do is talk about municipality stuff. They want to talk about, the board, or not the boardwalk, but the walkway down on Beach Drive, or they want to talk about the issues going on in Lynn Haven. But when I try to talk to them about county issues, it's nobody knows what goes on, and I think the reason for that is because their meetings are at 10 a.m. in the middle of the week, and it makes it difficult. I have to read the meeting minutes. That's where I get most of my data. I can't even make it to these meetings because of the time of day and the time of the month that it is.
So you think they don't want public participation? Is that?
I don't think that that's the case, but I do believe it. When I have brought, and this was the excuse that was given to me, I'm not going to tell you who it was, but it was humorous to me, right? I said exactly what I just told you, which was, I don't have time to go on Tuesday at 10 a.m. to come and, sit in a meeting because I have a job. Me and my wife, we're a traditional couple. My wife stays home. She takes care of the children. I go to work. I sweat from my brow. And, I bring home the bacon. So I don't have time to go to these meetings. And so the excuse that was brought up to me well, we can't have meetings in the evening because if we did that, county employees would have to stay later. Well, so what? Because city municipalities do that anyway. Have them come in later the next day or, figure that out. If people can't come and make a stand and have a voice, what are we doing here? What are y'all doing?
It's called representative government, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, what are some of your issues too that you're interested in? Because roads are always a big one for me, and traffic when it comes to Bay-wide concerns.
Yeah, so we can go down the rabbit hole on roads, but the biggest issue that I have is accountability. The biggest issue that I have is, if you've ever served in the military, the biggest thing that's talked about is perception. So perception is everything. That lie that we're told, our entire life, just like don't judge a book by its cover. That's a lie. Yes, you can. If the cover has an illustration presenting conflicts of interest, you as the voter, if you're voting for somebody that is gaining personally off of the county, and when I say that, I mean that by being a builder, being a developer, or being in sales in those things. So even if you're a builder developer, if you're in sales that even tie into those things, I don't believe that you should be overseeing zoning or any type of policy at the local, state, or federal level, because, and again, perception is everything. So. And I'm gonna give Tommy and Daniel a little bit of advertisement here. Tommy and Daniel, Tommy's a builder, Daniel's a real estate guy. Right? They may never give a homeboy hookup ever, and they may never benefit financially off the county. But it sure looks like it because, again, influential business owners and very high class of Bay County are spending a lot of money on their campaigns, and they don't want anything in return. They just want them to do the right thing and present and represent the people, because the battle that I think, and this is the battle that I'm struggling with right now. The battle is having a sweet granny give me $10 because she sees the ambition behind the man that wants to come, wants to bring industry, a man that wants to make sure that these developers and construction workers aren't getting in on the bids, just because they're friends with a commissioner. But you have that versus a developer that's been in battle with the county over commercial zoning that sees the benefit behind a friendship. That's the battle. And if you want to know one of the things that has completely torn me up to want to run, that right there, when I call a county commissioner and you're getting paid $78,000 a year, you better find a way to call me back. Because in my opinion, I just said this to the women's Republican group of Bay County. I said, in my eyes, that's thievery. Because if you're not, you take that check, you get paid by the citizens, but you don't show up to work. And it's not like these guys clock in and out and prove that they work 40 hours a week. So, but that's the reason why I'm guaranteeing 100% of my time. I'm going to leave my career, and I'm going to be a full-time county commissioner for the people of this county.
So that's a question I have for you, because I'm the new director of the Republican Liberty Caucus. And when I was in Tallahassee, January, we had Liberty Days, and we run around and meet with all kinds of representatives and the senators. And one of the bills they were pushing forward, and many counties across the state have decided that they're going to limit county commission seats to term limits to 8 years. And I was kind of pro that, based on what you were talking about, how people scratch each other's backs and they end up with their buddies,
Amazing
end up with the contracts. And so are you okay if we do go to a term limits on that county commission seat?
Absolutely. I believe there should be term limits, and I believe that there should be a there should be a cut in salary. Yep, I'm 100% for both of those things.
Okay. So what are we missing for your campaign? Where can people find out info about you? And tell us if we've missed anything.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how much time we have, but I did want to kind of hit on a couple different things, because what we've done is we talk about a little bit of my perception of things, but I would challenge anybody who hears the podcast to give me a call, because I want to be able to explain the attributes. I want to be able to explain my principles, my character, my presentation on how I present myself, my intellect, leadership skills, personal development, and achievements that I've made over the years. I mean, like I said, being a logistician out at NSWC PCD, as a contractor, defense contractor for a while, I've been on some pretty big projects. I've been responsible for a lot of money, a lot of budget and policy oversight. So it's not like you're dealing with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. I know we don't have enough time on a podcast to go over all that, but I do want people to reach out. But I do have I got a campaign page, which is voteronkeel.com. And of course you can always find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page as well. And my personal cell phone number is always available to anybody. It's 850-381-6875.
Sir, is there any final thoughts you want to share with the voters to come out and vote for you?
No, ma'am. I think about hit it. I'm a conservative Christian value guy that's a constitutionalist. If you're not sticking by the Constitution, there's no room for you anywhere in politics.
Okay.
That's about it.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, Ron. And we've been talking with Ron Keel. He's candidate for Bay County Commissioner District 1. And when is the primary for this? Is it August 20th?
It is August 20th. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, we wish you well and love to have you back in the future. So we'll be right back on Veronica Live.